There is a special kind of meditation where you are observing your mind. You are observing what's happening in the mind. So you just sit in your meditation posture and just let your mind to run about, you know, and you just accept it the way it is. Like I told you when I was resolving a problem with a difficult person, so that would be the same thing. So like allow the mind to do whatever it wants, but I'm there with the mind, you know, as much as I can, of course. Sometimes you cannot be mindful throughout the time, you know, the mental process starts and you get involved and then suddenly you find yourself in the middle of some total nonsense. But we know what we want already from the beginning of our meditation. We make the determination, from now on for 60 minutes I will be observing my mind. And then with that determination you observe the mind throughout those 60 minutes. Or if you can sit 30 minutes in a row, or whatever is the time that's comfortable, that doesn't matter. You decide for your time, you decide for your meditation practice in the very beginning, so that during the practice, if you have an idea to think about something else, maybe to resolve a problem, maybe I will find the solution. When the anger dissipates, when it's gone, because you didn't sit there to be angry or to be deluded, you're sitting there to observe the mind, to learn something new, to let go, then the anger disappears and your mind clears up. And when the mind clears up, it becomes calm. And then when it is calm, it's very easy to observe the mind. And then you can go deeper in that practice. I teach it as several stages, and the deepest stage is when you observe just the bare consciousness, just the seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking, as they just alternate one after another without any particular perception or intention. So you then just observe the intentions in their bare characteristics. But that's very, very far. That's very, very deep. So I would not suggest this to you at this point, but just sit down, you know, decide, okay, I will be observing the mind, and just allow the mind to be, you know, to happen. And see if you can train yourself in the clarity, in the mindfulness of what's happening right now. And allow the mind, you know, to be anything it wants, but be there with it, you know. And you can take your mind as a, if you want to take your mind as a bug, if that helps you to take the attitude of letting go, or if you want to imagine your mind as a little baby or as a little puppy or kitten, never mind. The intention is just to let go, to observe, you know, to let it be the way it is. A baby, a kitten, a puppy may sometimes try to escape from the place where you are, so you need to gently take it back. In the same way as you are observing the mind, sometimes you may lose your mindfulness, and that's where you gently take up the mindfulness again. Alright? In meditation, we avoid anything forceful. We avoid any expectations, especially if it is in meditation on mind. In the center, I teach observing mind as the very last practice, because it is very easily misunderstood. And even though I say no, don't expect anything, don't force anything, the first thing you or yogis usually start with is to force and expect. So that's why I always start with loving kindness, because the attitude of love is very supportive for this letting go. So that's how you can practice loving kindness practice, how you can meditate, how you can do meditation practice to support you in the process of observing the mind when an unskillful thought is coming in the daily life. So the more you can do the formal practice, sitting or walking, specifically dedicated time for meditation, the more you can dedicate time to that formal practice, the easier it will be to use those skills in your daily life outside the practice. So if you can dedicate 15 minutes a day, that's great, that's perfect. For some people, 15 minutes is difficult, so I teach them 5 minutes a day. And it works. And they really meditate 5 minutes a day, and that is fantastic. Because as soon as you have something, you can increase that. You can start with 15 minutes, you can start with 5 minutes, that doesn't matter. After 2 weeks, see if you can increase it, either to 7 minutes or to 10 minutes. After another 2 weeks, try to increase it to 15, and then 20 and 25. 1 hour of formal meditation a day is fantastic. That is the ultimate wish I could ever have for any yogi, you know, in their daily life outside meditation retreat. During a meditation retreat, yes, I would expect 12 or 14 hours a day meditation. That is ideal, and I had yogis like that. But when you start meditation, this is not possible. It just is not possible. It's that simple. So if I have a yogi, I would expect from them 2 to 4 hours a day the first 3 days, and then to increase to 6, and then maybe after 2 or more weeks, if they still want to stay in the monastery, to increase it to 8 every day. And then if they are really good in their practice, if they are really enthusiastic, then I suggest to them the intensive period, and during intensive period they meditate 12, 14 hours a day. So do you think this would be possible for you to practice every day 15 minutes observing the mind? In fact, what you are training here, although you are observing your mind, you are actually training yourself in letting go of the mind. So although it seems as if you are observing your mind, that actually is not the case. You are training yourself in letting go of the mind, and you are doing that through the observation. So I suppose from the experience you're telling me about, you may be observing the mind, but the letting go may need some improvement. So in your meditation practice, you can dedicate yourself to that only, you know? Like, you would dedicate yourself to letting go of the mind. So not just observing the mind, but letting go of it. Okay, mind, do whatever you want, you know, you're totally free, and I'm here, you know, if you need something, I'll help you. Actually, all of the Buddha's teachings is based on letting go only. If you wanted to say all of the Buddha's teachings in one word, or actually it's two, then it would be this letting go, you know. At the moment when you can let go of your mind and your body as yourself, at that moment you can see them as not self, and that is enlightenment. So the Buddha's teachings is entirely about letting go and nothing but that. When the Buddha teaches concentration practices such as on breath or white color, fire, or the Buddha's qualities or so, when you create a powerful concentration, then you have to observe that concentration as impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self, so that you can let go of it. So you are basically practicing concentration in order to let go of it. Now in the West, it's so famous, you know, that you observe your breath, you become mindful of your breath. But the accomplishment, you know, the highest level of the practice is not known. The people do not realize that when they become their breath, when breath becomes them, which is the very powerful level of concentration, then they have to let go of this breath. And there is a specific explanation how to do that. How do you observe your concentrated mind to let go of it? So the practice But this is already on a higher level, but just if you're interested, you need to go to your heart and you need to observe that the mind of concentration is dependent on the heart flesh. And then that's what you would yourself experience. So there is nothing about science or something. We are talking about own experience. So you're looking at your heart flesh and you see that the mind arises dependent on the heart flesh, the concentrated mind, experientially again. And then you need to understand that the heart flesh is impermanent, that it is rotting, that it is covered by fat, that it is dependent on blood. So you understand that the core of your fantastic, incredible concentration and happiness and joy is dependent on this rotting flesh. And then you understand, okay, so if this is dependent on this rotting flesh, then this rotting flesh is impermanent, therefore the concentration is also impermanent. And that's where you get free from it. So then you could ask, so why do you create the concentration if you then have to let go of it? To concentrate your defilements. So my theory is that the intention of the jhanas, of the strong concentration practices, such as on the breath or white color or fire, the intention is that you learn something that is permanent more than anything else. So you concentrate all of your views about permanence and joy in that one thing. And then, as that one thing that is permanent in the world. And then you destroy that. And when you have destroyed that one thing which could be permanent in the world, then you see, nothing is permanent. If you don't do that, the difficulty may be, but there are people who are successful also without these deep concentration practices. But if you don't do that, then the problem may be that you will see impermanent in something, but then the permanent idea will hide in something else. So you will go to the something else, and then it will hide in something else still. So you will have to go little by little by little, on the lower level. So you do not find something higher, to concentrate all of the view. So what are those things? They are the body, feelings, perceptions, intentions, and consciousness. So you can observe impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self, in body, feelings, perceptions, intentions, and consciousness. The problem is that if you observe it only in the body, you still may keep some views of permanence in the mind. If you see impermanence in the mind, you still may keep some views of permanence in the body. So that's where it becomes slightly more complicated if you don't do this deep concentration. So when you do the deep concentration, hey, this body, useless. This mind, useless. But breath, or the fire, or the white, that is permanent. That is joy. That is eternal. And you will experience eternity in that object. And that's why you will reject everything else as permanent. So then when you can observe that particular one object which you believe that is eternal, unlike anything else in the world, and you understand that it is impermanent, then you can get free from all of it. If you don't, you can do these 5, so the body, feelings, perceptions, intentions, and consciousnesses, but it's more tricky because there are 5, it's not just 1. So this way you're letting go. Practice in the Buddha's teachings is entirely about letting go. So whenever you learn about the Buddha's teachings, see if you can learn something about letting go from there. If you take the three main trainings, generosity, virtue, and meditation. So in generosity, you're letting go of the material that you have attached to your body. In virtue, you are letting go of your habits, the idea that I am a mosquito killer. I am a drunkard, I need to drink every Friday and Saturday, So you let go of that idea that you are this or you are that. And in meditation, as I've just explained, either you let go of the 5 aggregates of being, or of that seemingly permanent object.